Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Underdog Lord, this is Underdog Reviews, and I watched Sharktopus versus Pteracuda with the tagline, a love story. Aww. um, After the first movie, where I didn't have my expectations very high, which they didn't even met, in the first movie, my expectations weren't even met, even though they were not that high. That's better. In this movie, my expectations weren't high either, but they kind of met it, and went a bit beyond. So I can say I kind of very enjoyed this movie. And no, it's not a good movie, but it was definitely better than the first movie, because the first movie only focused on one monster and now it focuses on two monsters. Yeah. Does it make this a good movie then? No, it doesn't. So let's just start with this shitty movie. Well, from this shitty review. Yeah. We see, well, actually what you're about to get right now is all basically from the previous movie, just like we did with Psycho 2, where we got basically shit from the first movie and then the actual second movie started, and that's the same with this. So we see a scene from the first movie, woman bungee jumping at the cliff, and she dangles a bit, and when she dangles down, Sharktopus comes, so he jumps out the water and he gets her. Nice. You followed the bit in the ocean. We see it swim away. Swim away, Fugelfish, swim away. Then we go to a woman to another woman. Then it grabbed up. It got another woman, and then it got the guy ziplining. Shaka bra. And ziplining, and then that. Another guy fell or jumped into the water, and he's trying to get back to. It looked like he's trying to back to land, but it was not that deep. It was not like in ocean or stuff like that. It was probably in a kind of enclosure. I don't know for sure where it was. But he was kind of on a rock. He was poking it a bit, and then we see young lady typing something on the computer and presses something, and the thing exploded. The shark part exploded of the Sharktopus. But we're gonna leave it at that, because if you don't know what's gonna happen next, well, here are some points that I have to talk about. And go watch the movie yourself. First of all, Conan O'Brien was in this movie, which I didn't expect. When I saw his name in the in the opening credits, I thought, wait, Conan O'Brien? Why is he in this movie? But okay, and he played himself, but he played a dick version of himself. He was really a dick. Pteracuda was another project by the same guy that made the Sharktopus, And apparently the Pteracuda can make a jeep blow up. And not with mind powers or something, but it flies so hard, maybe over 200 miles an hour. I don't know how much that is in kilometers per hour. So, Jesus, my mustache tickles my nose. But it blows up jeep, but then it goes a bit rogue, or now there was a guy that was controlling it, because he was also a contractor, and he took the second device the second computer that you can take with you, in a kind of briefcase. He took it with him, and then he was controlling it. So that thing went a bit haywire. And what was their brilliant idea? Go after it in a helicopter. With guns, but not the helicopter didn't have guns. No, the people on board had guns. But, dude, it can blow up a fucking jeep. With how fast it's flying, and crashing into it, and then flies, unharmed away. That was the test subject. But the test thingy was, a jeep. So you think with a pair of guns and a helicopter you can take that thing down? Well, think again. Really. That was so fucking retarded. It can blow up a jeep, so what are you going to do? You're going into its territory where it's, with an advancement, which at the advantage, in the sky, because it's part half pterodactyl. You go after it in a helicopter. Yeah, because a helicopter, you're very safe in it, with a flying monster out there. Oh my god. But yeah, I got it. How else would you go after it? Maybe not with a helicopter mount. I would think maybe a fighter jet or something, that can shoot itself, that itself can shoot and is fast. I would think, go with that. Not for a fucking helicopter. Jeez. But, surprise, surprise, it took down the helicopter. Who would have thought? I have to give the movie some props. I have to give the movie some props, because there were some scenes, like the helicopter fell down. Well, it crashed into the water, into the sea. But they actually filmed it in the sea. They were actually with a camera and crew in the sea. So, because of how the water moved, and it was pretty fast, So I have to give them credit for that. They were actually filming in the sea. Because we saw it was not. It was a bit offshore, but it was not far out into the ocean. So I still have to give them credit for that. Also, there was a scene after that where there was a guy going down a water slide, and he was actually going down a water slide. Well, he was holding a camera. He was holding the camera himself. There was not, I don't know how else they would do it, but he was holding the camera himself. And it was not like, oh yeah, camera, I'm filming it for my family, or just to post it online. No, it was just part of the movie as camera. So I have to give them props for that. Yeah. The Sharktopus was like I said at the beginning, was blown up, you know. So it was that. But a trainster, Lorena, from a kind of aquarium, she was fishing, you know, to do research to the ecosystem, and you know, she was on a fishing boat, and she found, you know, they caught an egg. Well, not a round egg, but a fish egg, a shark egg, a Sharktopus egg, and so she cut it open and took out a baby Sharktopus, which was kind of cute, but obviously very dangerous still. And what did she thought? You know, this is her words. You know? No, the government couldn't make it. Well, still a bit paraphrasing, but the government couldn't have made it. You know, who in their right mind would make this? Stuff like that, you know? Because you know, you think from the government, or somebody said I've read on online, you know, the government made stuff like that, I think. And she said then, yeah, oh, you wouldn't in the right mind would make it, you know, stuff like that, you know. But that means, if it's not made by the government, that means that she presumes it came just natural, you know, that the octopus and the shark just, you know, in the ocean, and BAM! Sharktopus. Going with that logic from her, you know, by crossing off, no, it's not made by the government. Well, yeah, she said specifically government. Well, they specifically said government, but you know, with that, you know, you would say, well, it's handmade, you know, man-made. You know, the government made it, so it's man-made. So with that crossing off from what she said, she must have thought that, you know, like I said, you know, they were just a shark and octopus, you know, they were so fucking in love, and then, you know, they thought, you know, let's do the sideways tango and make a Sharktopus together. Yeah. Is that not retarded or what? Because I think she was a biologist, you know. She studied biology, you know, biology from, you know, creatures, you know, creature biology, ocean, marine biology maybe even, I don't know, it was something like that. But you studied that, and you think that this is not man-made. That this is just nature, but just a rare, very rare occurrence. Then you're fucking retarded if you think that. Because how stupid can you fucking be? Man! I also don't get the tagline. A love story. I didn't see the laugh, you know? And it's probably, you know, just ironically laugh, but, you know, still not very good tagline, you know? Yeah, Conan O'Brien died, you know, on the beach by Sharktopus, and then his head was bitten off by Sharktopus, you know. His assistant, you know, screamed, ah, and then, you know, it spit his head back out, and there were, you know, guys playing volleyball, and then, you know, the head flew over to the volleyball court, and they were just, you know, playing volleyball with the head, like, it's not a head, you know, like it's just another volleyball. That guy, I get it, but yeah, I get it. It's a joke, ha ha ha. But this is not a horror comedy. So that joke, I wouldn't say it's inappropriate or something like that, but it just doesn't fit in with this movie. I get, you can make a joke here and there, but that joke doesn't fit. That reaction of those people. Just a second ago, we had people scream for in fear. The assistant scream in fear. But and then the next thing that we see is that they're just playing volleyball with their head. Like if this was Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, which I've seen at at the very beginning of my channel. I get it, that you make more horror jokes, for they spit out the back of the head and they play volleyball with it. It's more fitting because it's partially comedy, but this is just horror science fiction TV movie. It says, just horror science fiction. So that, and I don't say that horror and science fiction can't have jokes, but it just doesn't fit in with this movie. That joke doesn't just that joke scene doesn't just fit in with this movie. In my opinion. Yeah. It was also, I don't think that they said to every character that died in this movie that they actually died. To the actors and actresses that played it, because there was one scene in here where this was again Pteracuda. It was flying in, like it does, because it's partially pterodactyl, and it bit off the head of a woman. But before the scene changed, we saw her still run. I would get it if the body went down, but this is probably where I think that they didn't tell her that she was about to die in the movie, because she was we saw her still run. We saw. Well, she was running around here. She was running here and she bit the head off. Still just maybe 1 or 2 seconds we saw her run, and then the scene changed. So I didn't think that they actually tell her that she should have fallen down, because her head was bitten off by Pteracuda. Yeah, this is the last point. Lorena was kind of kidnapped by there was one guy that survived, the helicopter falling down in the ocean, but multiple people survived from that. But I mean, then they were, the Pteracuda or Sharktopus, one or the other. Pteracuda attacked the people, the people, the hiremen, and one guy escaped, and he and Dr. whatever, the creator of both creatures, were going after, well, basically both of them, and then they saw Lorena, they drove first, a bit past her, then they backed up, opened the door, and basically kidnapped her. Jeez. And they were going to the beach because the guy had to get something, and made, did a bit of a MacGyver and made a weapon, and or MacGruber, whatever you want to do, MacGruber, MacGyver, pick one. And he made something, and Lorena was in the back of the van, and the guy, the doctor was a bit busy because he was trying to hack that portable computer that was controlling Pteracuda. And she saw her boyfriend Rick on the beach because he's a lifeguard. Remember this, he is a lifeguard. That's important. And she slowly opened the fan and then ran out towards Rick. And he just saved a girl, from the water. She was laying in the water, and he was on jet ski, went by, took on the beach. And she came to Rick, he laid her down, and the first thing that he says, "Do you know CPR?" Dude, aren't you a fucking lifeguard? Shouldn't you do CPR? Why do you ask your girlfriend, Lorena, or what did I just say? Whatever her name is, why do you ask her if she knows CPR? You should do the push, push, blow, blow. Well, he did do the blow, blow, but she did the push, push. Dude, that's your job as a lifeguard. Well, he didn't survive, so. But why did you ask her if she knows CPR? See, that's the part that I thought, Jesus Christ, why are you a lifeguard? Because you should know CPR as a lifeguard. That's part of your fucking job, to save people. Jeez, but if you don't know CPR as a lifeguard, you shouldn't be a lifeguard. But I have to say, this movie was just a little bit more enjoyable than the first movie. So I think I will give this movie maybe a 2 out of 5. Because the first movie, to be honest, I didn't even pay attention for most of the movie because no. But I did pay attention with this one, except for the last part a bit. But overall, the movie was okay, but I just can't give the 3 out of 5. I just can't. With the shit in this movie, I just can't. So 2 out of 5. I have to say that the acting of the guy and the doctor were not that bad. There was worse acting in the first movie and also some worse acting in this movie. So, but their acting just on the speech of okay. Just on the borderline of okay. No, but this movie 2 out of 5. Watch the movie yourself. I don't know if I would recommend this movie. Probably not. But go watch the movie if you want to know the terrible scenes that I was talking about and how they fight each other. But apparently Sharktopus survived, I think, because it's coming back tomorrow for Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. Try to say that very fast a couple times. Whale Wolf. Werewolf. Jesus, that's a tongue twister. But Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. I fucking hate that name now already. But leave likes, recommend a good creature movie or good chimera movie, because a Sharktopus and Pteracuda are basically, and Whale Wolf are basically chimeras, Just recommend a good chimera movie down below in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, come join Discord. Well, and see you guys later for season 1, episode 2 of Blackadder. And otherwise tomorrow for well, Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. But then one word, Whale Wolf. And for the movie Chicago, because I have a book for dummies here, and they were talking. There's one movie. There are two. Oh, there are two movies that they're talking about in that, and I haven't seen the movies yet, so we're gonna watch those tomorrow and the week after. So, um, Chicago and Hidden Figures. So if you want to see either of one or both, subscribe. But that said, I'm gonna leave that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.